Hello and welcome to Stories, the True and the Fictional, the Indie Author Podcast supporting indie authors from all around the world. This episode is brought to you by Rebecca Kearsells of the Rising Dawn series. You too can become a sponsor by heading on over to buymeacoffee.com/STTATF or follow the link in the show notes. And now, let's get into the show. Warning. Listening to this episode may cause your TBRs to grow in size.
Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Stories, the True and the Fictional. I am one of your hosts, Jay O'Brien. With me always is our resident reader, Ryan. How you going, Ryan?
Living the dream, my friend, living the dream. Not much to tell you since we recorded 12 hours ago. I haven't been doing much since then, but I definitely enjoyed the chat we just had with our guest, Matthew Linton. Yes, Linton. Yeah. We have a lot of things in common in terms of video games and books and everything like that. So it was a great chat. Yeah, animation.
Yeah. Well, before we dive into that, I'll take the opportunity to do things that I should be doing more often. My latest book, The Boy Who Slayed the Gargoyle, newly beautiful cover done. Check that out. And as Ryan knows, Ancora has been re-edited, but it's also, the cover's been a little updated. I've increased the font size. And on the inside, I added a nice little picture of my niece being Zia. So check that out. Book number 2 is well on the way. I probably should send Ryan the updated because he's my beta reader. I think I'm going to turn it to very similar to be like I Destined, as it's broken into 4 parts. I'm thinking that's where I'm headed, because I'm 8,000 words in and I've barely scratched the surface. So it's going to be probably twice the size of the first book. So strap in for that. But guys, don't forget to check out our sponsors. Rebecca Kearsells, our honorary sponsors, Janelle Schiecke and Alexander Robb. All their links are down below. They are great authors, great friends of the show. Buy Ryan's shirt. He's got 2 shirts now. Check them out. They're on the screen. You can live the dream, or you can advertise that Ryan will buy your shirt. Both are fantastic options.
I will buy your book, not buy your shirt, because I don't read shirts.
That's it. I kept saying shirt too much there. I'm still tired. Yeah. Not as tired as you. But yeah, guys, we've got a great line of merch. Probably more coming. We do have an updated logo for our Dropbear wort segments and stuff like that. So check out that. Every bit of merch you buy helps us keep the lights on for this show, so to speak. And we appreciate your support. I think that's all I've got to say. So let's go talk to Matthew Linton. Matthew Linton, welcome to the show. How you going?
Hey, thanks for having me.
The question we always begin with is, who is Matthew Linton?
Oh man, I have no clue. I live in southeastern U.S. In rural South Carolina. I've been living here about 20 years. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York. It's actually the birthplace of L. Frank Baum, creator of Wizard of Oz. So yeah, it was you grow up in that. There's a lot of Oz lore in the town. They're very much embracing that reputation. In our downtown, we got about a quarter mile or so section of the downtown Main Street. At least when I was growing up, that's made out of yellow bricks.
Oh wow!
So you're a kid. You grow up, you think everybody has a yellow brick road in their Main Street, but I guess it was just me. But no, I've always been fascinated with the fantasy genre. I grew up, wasn't a big reader growing up, but I grew up, watching movies like Princess Bride, Neverending Story, played video games like Zelda, and later on like Chrono Trigger and things like that. So, the fantasy genre, and especially what I call, uncorrupted heroism, is something I've always been fascinated with, and those are kind of the kind of heroes I write. or those kind, and the Luke Skywalker types and things like that. And writing, I've been writing as a hobby for probably 7 or 8 years. Had several work in progresses I would start, and then I just kind of shelved them. And then I released Revo here. So I'll hold it up here. I released Revo, my debut, back in November. That was the first one I stuck through to the end. When I started it, I didn't. And previously, I kind of put some pressure on myself, like, okay, no, this has got to be it's got to be an epic, it's got to be a real big story and all that stuff. With Revo, I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna put pressure on myself. I'm gonna write it. May or may not get published. May or may not be more than a short story or a novella, and then just kind of grew and turned into its own story. And same kind of deal with Franco. Before I actually even published Revo, I had was basically done with my second book, Franco, which just released on the 3rd, which is set in the same universe as Revo, but it's its own standalone story. Which is another commitment I had made to myself was, with my first time writing, I'm not gonna do a big epic series. I'm just gonna write a couple of stories that'll work on their own and stand alone. And they're inspired by the fantasy stories I grew up watching, and some reading and playing and things like that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think you said the magic word to Ryan: video games.
Oh yeah.
No. The magic word was Chrono Trigger. I don't know very many people who have actually played that, aside from myself and a few friends that I have on Facebook. So it's very nice to meet a fellow Chrono Trigger fan.
Yeah, I played Chrono Cross first. I had never even heard of Chrono. I played Chrono Cross, which I loved, and I was like, well, let me find out what this Chrono Trigger is about. And so I went and started playing Chrono Trigger and really liked it. So it's been years, years to play that.
Oh yeah. I played it on Super Nintendo. That's how old it is. And then I had the updated version on Nintendo DS. Because they did basically just gave it a run through the filters and put a few cutscenes in, and then but I have got Chrono Cross on the PlayStation, because they released it, I think, maybe 4 years ago in the PlayStation Store with a remaster, but I haven't yet. I'm yet to play it, so I'm keen to get stuck into that one of these days.
Had a soundtrack that was ahead of its time. It came out, I want to say that came out in like 99 or 2000.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the CGI and the soundtrack on that were ahead of its time for back, 26, 27 years ago. So might be tamed by today's standards. I don't know.
No, look, I'm a fan of the old school, that's one thing I love about the new series, the Octopath Traveler. And it's gone back to that, that kind of design that used to happen on Super Nintendo and Mega Drive. Like it's very pixel orientated, but the graphics are it's like a 2D game. And I know that 2 of the Dragon Quest games have been remade into 2D. It looks absolutely beautiful. So I'm a big fan of those kind of graphics. So I don't think I'll be disappointed at all.
Let's get these icebreakers underway. It's a great way for our guests to get to know you, because as our listeners know, Ryan will most definitely probably buy your book because he's gotten to know you before you've even talked about your book. That's it's a thing that works. So let's jump right in. The first question is, who is your favorite dynamic duo? For example, Batman and Robin, Laurel and Hardy, Kermit and Miss Piggy. I don't know. Who is your favorite dynamic duo?
Timon and Pumbaa.
Oh, am I? That's the tough one. Am I allowed to say Harry and Lloyd?
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, we've had that before.
Yeah, we have
that before.
Okay.
Pretty recently, actually. So,
yeah.
It was one of my favorite comedies growing up. So that's still some nostalgia there, I guess.
Yeah, no, I've always been a Jim Carrey fan. Huge part of my childhood.
Yep.
Lock it in.
Awesome. All right. Well, Question number 2 is, what's something that's on your bucket list?
A few years back, I had accomplished getting a black belt in martial arts, but I got one in Danzanryu Jiu-Jitsu a few years back. But the next one, I've always wanted to visit Ireland. Actually, I'm Irish historically, and an interesting thing is that both my mother's side of the family and my wife's my father-in-law, my wife's dad, his side of the family are both from County Cork. I thought that was interesting, so I wouldn't mind visiting County Cork, Ireland.
That's where my wife was born, in County Cork. She was born in Cargaline.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's from County Cork. She would.
Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, we were looking into going over there about 10 years ago, but then probably about the week I was about to book the vacation, we found out my wife was pregnant with my firstborn, so that changed things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, apparently it's my wife's been over there a couple of times. Her family's over there, and she's been back a few times. And unfortunately, both times she's been back, I've had to work. I couldn't get out of work because we just had things going on. So apparently, it's very, very beautiful over there. Very, very lush greenlands, and even when you're you can drive 10 minutes outside of a town, and it just looks like farmland all the way.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the pictures I've seen look beautiful. I'm actually trying. I just relocated to a little bit closer to the router, so maybe it'll be better now. But yeah, that'd be bucket list item would be if I could ever visit Ireland sometime. I'd love that. Okay,
Awesome.
Great.
Excellent. All right, let's get to one of my favorite questions.
We can try the video again. We'll see if I can turn off again.
Oh yeah, if you want. All right.
Okay. So the next question is it has a visual aid, and I'm sure it's something that you're very, very familiar with, being from the US of A, is Mount Rushmore. So 4 very influential presidents of their time. So given that that's the situation with Mount Rushmore, what would be on your Mount Rushmore of television shows?
Strictly television shows. I'm a big anime fan.
Okay.
So one of my favorites is probably Naruto. So I put Naruto up there.
Yes.
Another one I like is Demon Slayer. So we would have we'd have Tanjiro up there, yeah. And I'd say number 3 is Frieren, if we're going to stick to the anime themes. Number 4, I'll abandon anime for the 4th one, and I'll do one of my favorite sitcoms that I grew up with, which is Seinfeld.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Excellent.
3 animes.
I just realised, Jamie, I jumped in and took that question from
That's
you.
all right.
I didn't realise. I forgot. As I said, 1.5 hours sleep overnight, so I'm doing well.
I forgive you.
So Matt, are you you're obviously quite a big anime fan, are you?
Yeah, it's been kind of a little bit more of a recent passion of mine. I mean, I did, of course, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z. But then, a few years ago, I started getting more into it again, and went through, watched a lot of the old Dragon Ball Z again.
Yep.
And then I not sure what got me watching Naruto. Maybe one of my coworkers might have mentioned it to me or something. But I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. I was kind of slow to do it because it's a very long anime.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a very big commitment for Naruto.
It is.
Very big commitment.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Probably my favorite anime of all time. And that kind of led into, my brother's a big anime fan as well, so he kind of makes some suggestions. He suggested Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
And One Punch Man's a pretty good one. He keeps trying to get me to watch Attack on Titan.
Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites. I'm a massive horror fan, so I like a lot of the horror anime, but it is very good.
Yeah, with me, I don't like animes that take themselves too seriously. That's kind of been my hesitation, but it'll be something I'll probably end up watching. Right now I'm watching. I had to get a Crunchyroll subscription in order to watch the latest episode of latest season of Freerun. So I was like, well, I'll make the most of it. And right now I'm watching a show called Faraway Paladin.
Yep, I know that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm about 10 or 11 episodes in. It's pretty good. I like it. It does have some Freerun vibes in it. So I like it. I'm curious to see where it's going to go.
Well, I've got one that I recommend, and this is a general go-to for any anime fan. It is on Crunchyroll, but it's also just come on Netflix as well, and that's My Hero Academia, traditional superhero. It's a great hero journey. A boy in a world where everyone has powers and he has none, and then just goes from there. It's really good.
Yeah, that's been recommended to me. Before starting Faraway Paladin, I just finished watching Black Clover. I don't know if you've seen Black Clover or not.
Yep.
I liked it overall. It did have some very similar vibes to Naruto.
Yep.
I wouldn't quite put it up there with Naruto, but it had a very similar feel to it. The kind of the misfit hero, striving to become, the most powerful and all that. So it was a good show.
I think anime has done the best job of bringing to life the hero journey compared to a lot of movies. Like, a lot of movies do a good job, but anime, pretty much 90% of the animes out there are amazing hero journey stories. It's always, they're not always, but generally a young person from a small village gets together with a group of misfits and ends up saving the world, kind of thing. It's some iteration of that kind of story in most anime, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, I mean, I eat those stories up.
Yeah,
those kind of stories. That's my book Revo's a little bit like that, where he kind of came from. It's not quite as dramatic, but he came from one of the smallest villages in the kingdom and all that, and he's commissioned to go venture across the kingdom along, and it's kind of like a party fantasy. He gets a party, and they venture across the kingdom to try to save a land that's on the verge of collapse. So it was definitely an anime inspired book. I was watching a lot of Naruto, and I was actually we were talking about video games. One of my favorite all times is a 90s RPG for PlayStation called Suikoden 2. Have you heard of that?
Yes. Yeah. I used to play that all the time, and I just got my hands on the remaster of 1 and 2 on my Switch too. It's such a good. In that game, I always stand by this. That game, Suikoden 2, has one of the most evil villains in that whole game of Luca Blight.
Luca, yeah.
I just that opening scene where he's in that village is on fire, and I remember the classic line. I think it was like act like a pig or act like a dog, and gets this villager on the ground and then just runs him through. I will never forget that. He is.
I remember that.
He was one of in my top 5 list of villains. Luca Blight is definitely there.
Yeah, it's a shame because he wasn't like the main
villain.
They got rid of him about halfway through.
Exactly.
But yeah, he was amazing. He was amazing. But they went for the once friends now enemies trope.
Exactly.
Which still great storyline. But yeah, that was an inspiration for Revo. So it was Suikoden 2, because when I started writing Revo, I was watching a lot of Naruto, and I was really geeking out on Suikoden 2. I was watching. I don't own the game anymore. Which is if you try to get it for PlayStation, it's like a collectible now. It's like several $100s.
Yeah.
I thought about wanting to buy it because I probably bought it, at the store for like $30 or $40, and now it's like $400. No, I wish I hadn't gotten rid of it. But I did the next best thing, which is I got on YouTube and I watched people playing Suikoden 2. So, I really love the had an unrequited love subplot going on, just like Naruto had, and that's that was something I've always loved, the unrequited love angle. I always thought there's kind of a melancholic beauty to it, and that's another thing I put in Revo as well, because like I said, it was a big inspiration. Both of those were Naruto and Suikoden too. So.
Well, I mean, you've definitely sold me because they're two of my favorite things of all time. So,
Ding,
I'm
ding,
definitely
ding,
keen to
ding,
get
sold.
into all. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's it. That's awesome.
Well, you might read it and be like, "Oh, wait, how did I see where you got that from?" I'd say, "Oh, okay, yeah, you stole that idea." Yeah.
It
Awesome.
it was really cool revisiting those recently. When they released the first Suikoden 1 and 2 in with the high definition remake on I got it on my Switch too. It's just brought back so many memories, and those games, the game still holds up, and that's what you want to see. If for a game that came out on PS1 with like 25 years ago or something like that, and it's just absolutely amazing still.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they re-released those or remastered them. It was about a year ago, right? Something like that.
Yeah. Because
I
remember I got them on my Switch just after I got out. Yeah, I got out of hospital in March of last year, and I think it was like a couple of weeks after that. So yeah, it was about a year ago.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. If the anime talk's done, let's move on to the next question. Dr. Emmett Brown leaves his DeLorean parked in your driveway. Where/when are you going?
Oh man. Yeah, this is the one when I saw it. I was like, that's a tough question because you can go different ways. If you want the silly answer, I can say I'll go back to 1990 and beat up my brothers.
I'll take it.
I was actually thinking about that. You have regrets and mistakes you made, and part of you might want to wish you can go back and undo them, but that's part of life. That's where you learn. Some of the most valuable lessons are the dumb mistakes you've made and all that. So as much of a bummer as it was, and as much as I might be kicking myself now, that's part of life. I guess maybe I would tell myself to go buy some what's Elon's company there?
Tesla.
Yeah, buy some Tesla stock or something.
Yeah, the old Biff sports almanac trick.
Yeah.
Only you'd find out like Elon Musk would be the one to invent time travel, and he'd be back there to stop you. Wait, no.
Now that's a good. Think about that though. There's a good storyline there. You've discovered time travel, but the person who invented it's the villain, and Yeah.
No, that used to be. This time travel question's changed so much. It's because it used to be Elon Musk invents his electric time machine because let's face it, he would be the one to do it.
Yeah.
But with the variety of guests we get on this show, like you can tell like politically they hate him or whatever. Like, and it's just like we don't want this show to become political. Just So then it moved to Bill and Ted, and then half the people didn't know who Bill and Ted was. And then and then it went to everyone knows Back to the Future. Everyone knows Back to the Future.
Oh yeah.
So it's the evolving question.
All right, Jamie, why don't you take the last question, seeing as I stole
stole the other one from me. All right, okay. So this question we stole from YouTube series channel David Batterina. I think he was the host. Mirthquake. I mean, he had this question that he always asked everyone, and he kept a scoreboard. So we're keeping it going. Ryan likes to say it's the question of how you would like to die, but the question is hot air balloon or janky sub. So basically, would you rather fly in a homemade hot air balloon way up in the sky or a homemade submarine way down in the ocean's depth?
So with that, I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I'm sure the myth has been busted, but I don't know if you've heard it before. Like if you ever get caught in a falling elevator, you could try to maybe jump at the last second and spare your life. So that I'm going to go with that. I feel like if in a faulty hot air balloon, I got a chance. I got a prayer. Maybe maybe I can do that. Maybe I can jump at the last second, or maybe I'll get snagged in a tree or something.
Yeah.
Versus a submarine, that thing gets a crack in it, you're toast.
You're toast.
So yes, hot air balloon.
There we go. Hot air balloon is in the lead.
I was going to buy your book, so now you've gone to where I'm team sub. But no, I'm joking. I think personally that I get where you're coming from, but the fear of seeing my death in front of me has got me going submarine, because like you said, with the submarine, as soon as it tears open, bang, you're gone. Implosion. Right?
Yeah.
But if the hot air balloon, something goes wrong with that, you're falling, you can see the ground coming at you. You can have all of that fear of, oh my God, I'm going to die. Whereas if you're in the submarine and it bursts open, you have no time to think. You're just dead straight away.
Well, I keep feeling, I feel like my inner MacGyver would come out, and I'd turn my sweater into a parachute or something, and I would just safely parachute down.
Yes.
Oh.
Love a good MacGyver reference. Cool. Well, the icebreakers are done. Let's move on to the fun stuff. Tell us your author origin story. How did it start for you? How did it get to the point where you've got 2 books out?
Yeah. As I was saying before, I grew up a huge fan of the fantasy genre. Always thought it'd be cool to write my own book. Didn't read a ton when I was a kid. As I got older, I got into, I don't know if you heard of the Belgariad series. Yeah. I love that one. So I was reading some fantasy around that time, and then I got away from it, and unfortunately spent too much time reading nonfiction. And then the story of Revo started popped in my head back in December of 24, and I said I was geeking out on Naruto and Suikoden 2, and I was like, you know what, I got this story swirling in my head that just won't shut up. And as I said before, I had attempted to write some fantasies previously, and had a really good start to it, and then just kind of just faded away. But Revo's story, he's a champ. He fought through. Yeah, he wouldn't let me quit. So yeah, I just said I'm gonna write a story. Maybe it won't. Maybe nothing will come of it. Maybe it will. And I just said I'm just gonna let it. I didn't outline. I'm a pantser, not a plotter. So I didn't plot it out, and I just said I'm just gonna start writing these chapters and see how it flows. And I really liked the way it went. I found myself really kind of falling in love with the characters. And kind of got to the point where I feel like, I feel like I owe it to the characters to finish their story. Revo's story, him and his friends, their story deserves to be finished. It deserves to be told now. And that's what pulled me through that. And, with Franco's story. So Franco, I pull it up. That's one I probably should be talking about more, since that's the one I just released. Franco is actually Revo's father. The story is a chronological prequel to Revo, but I've been trying to kind of shy away from the word prequel, because like I said, it's its own standalone story. It has its own, its own hero, its own villain, with their own goals, and its own complete story. And there are some connections to Revo's story, but it's its own complete standalone story. So the interesting thing with Franco, if I could, I'll try not to go off too long, but so as I had mentioned earlier, might have been before we started recording, but I grew up in the hometown of L. Frank Baum, and I wanted to pay tribute to him when I was writing Revo, and so I named Revo's father character Frank after L. Frank Baum, and he actually isn't alive anymore when Revo's story starts, and that's not a spoiler for Franco. It's events that happen between the books, unrelated. I really started. He exists in Revo's story in flashbacks, because Revo draws a lot of his inspiration from the life lessons his parents tried to instill in him before they passed. And as I was kind of mapping out Frank's story in my head, even though stuff that maybe didn't necessarily get on the paper, because in Revo's story, talked about how he's just a really special guy, he's a powerful warrior, just a very special person. And I was just kind of thinking in my head, is like, what makes him so special? And before I even finished Revo, I started writing Franco's story. And now, as you know, his name is not in the new book, it's Franco, not Frank. The reason for that is pretty simple. Frank isn't a very exciting fantasy hero name. So I just added O on it, called him Franco. And the storyline, world building explanation for that is that, well, when he was a boy, everybody called him Franco, and then when he got out of the military and husband and father did that stuff, he just started calling himself Frank, and that was a pretty simple explanation for that. Well, yeah, that's what got me going.
Excellent. So being a pantser and not a plotter, like, how does that process work for you? Do you keep notes of everything that you're writing as you go, or is it all in your head?
It's mostly in my head. When I come up with a character, I'll do a little. I'll have a little document that's like a character sheet. Where I'll write their mainly to get their name and their spelling and basic appearance down. So I don't do something like, say, they have blue eyes in chapter 3, and then in chapter 7 they have green eyes or something like that. So I develop a little character sheet for different characters and for the town names or the names of different places they go to. Any sort of outlining I do, it's very rudimentary. It's just kind of like names and places and the order of events. And that's what I'm doing as I'm writing, because I'll write it and be like, oh, okay, let me go ahead and add this person or add this scenario or something like that. And one of my favorite characters in Franco was a character I invented on the fly as I was writing, and somebody had made a joke about root beer, and this is how my mind works. I started thinking of sarsaparilla, which is, I feel like it's basically the same thing as root beer, and I just always thought it was a funny word. So I created a character and named him Saspero after. Kind of like sarsaparilla. He actually became one of my favorite characters. So it worked out. But that's about all I do, is just basically I have a notes sheet where I write character information and names and places and basic order of events and things like that I can reference.
Yeah, no, I'm similar. I think I set goalposts, like events. That's about it. And then I write between them, and then I have a spreadsheet where I just go, this is what happens in that chapter, this is what happens in that chapter, like key moments, so I can keep track of it, because I never know how big my book's going to be.
Well, in both of my books, Revo and Franco, I had already had the end in mind before I even started. So it's kind of like, here's the ending. How am I going to get there?
Yeah. See, I did that with one of my books, and then I got to the end and I changed the end because it just it didn't fit. It didn't suit,
Yeah.
It's the joys of pantsering. All right. So Revo came first, correct? Yeah.
Last November. Yep.
Cool. I'm just going to bring up the art, because Ryan likes to ask the art cover questions.
And update on Revo is audiobook just dropped yesterday.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
Now, did you design these covers yourself, or did you outsource someone to create them for you?
So this is actually the second cover of Revo. The first one, I just didn't know what I was doing. I did use a professional artist. He did a good job. It just, it didn't capture the vibe. And that's my fault, because I just didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what to tell him. But anyway, this new cover that I really love is actually Darren Hatfield on X. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. Yeah, he's an author, but he also does art. And he does his own covers and stuff like that. But yeah, I reached out to him, and he made that cover for me.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I like the cover. I really like the way you've got the sword in the title as well. I like it when you get a fantasy book and some elements of that story are incorporated into the title. So I really like that.
Yeah, I think this new cover did a really good job of nailing down the vibe, because when you're doing a cover, this is the thing, you learn things.
Yeah.
You don't want to do, at least in my opinion, you want to capture the niche as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
My first cover, you could just tell us, okay, it's a fantasy, kind of character-driven fantasy, but what else? And this kind of captures a little bit more. Well, you can tell it's an action and adventure fantasy, and you can see the two silhouettes in the back. You can see there's a kind of a romantic subplot involved as well. And might be a little hard to see, but you see some monsters in the back there as well behind Revo. So it tells you what's going on, and that sword, that lit up sword, means something. The shooting star in the background, that all means something. It's stuff from the story.
That's cool, and it's so perfectly placed, that shooting star just beneath the title. Cool. So do you want to give us a bit of a deeper dive into what the story's about with Revo?
Yeah. So Revo it's kind of featuring a unique point of view. It starts out where he's already dead, or he's already fallen in battle. That's
Okay.
chapter one. Yeah, that's chapter one, and he comes back as a spirit, and he gets sent back to when his journey started, to the day he was recruited into the military, and recruiter comes into that small village and recruits basically all the fighting age men and women, which would include him and his cousins, and they're sent to venture out to recruit. So basically, they have to go and they form their own party, and they go out they go out and recruit a party and venture across the land to fight these mysterious beasts that kind of seem to come out of nowhere. They don't know. They just one day these wolf-like monsters started just attacking people and attacking villages, and nobody knows where they came from or why or anything. But they've got to use all their resources to try fighting them. And Revo and his party are among those sent out to confront them, and he ends up playing a central role, in the war. And as him watching himself from a spirit point of view, he sees some things that he didn't notice before. And one of those things was that there was a female member of his party that had secretly been in love with him the whole time. And his spirit point of view, he sees it and he never knew that was going on the whole time. So now he finds himself as a spirit watching the countdown to his own final battle, and desperate to try to figure out how to win back his life and how to win the heart of the young lady that loved him.
Wow. Secret.
Yeah.
Now, was it really secretly, or was he just clueless?
A little bit of both. He was never told outright, but he is very oblivious.
Yeah.
Like
most young men.
yeah. He was oblivious, but he was never told it directly or anything. She was a very timid person, so she never confronted him with it. So he didn't know. But from the spirit point of view, now he sees from a different perspective. He can't look away now. But yeah, that's his journey. He watches the different battles he fought, the friends that he made throughout his journey, and that the secret love he never realized was there.
That's really cool. Now, you said a word that stuck with me. You said wolf-like creatures. Does that mean you created your own creatures, or is there something more to that?
So there are. I called them the hondo, which is the Japanese word for hound.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I originally wanted, because I wanted to stick to that anime inspiration. I wanted to call them the akami, which is the Japanese word for wolf. But akami is a pretty common name in Japanese fiction.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something really unique. So I did hound. I went with hound instead. They're wolf-like creatures. They're very large. They can stand up and about the same height of there's two classes of them. The lower class is about the same height of a man, and then the higher class is a good bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And he learned some things. The higher class Houndo can do some things they didn't know about. They have some mysterious and unnatural, unknown powers that they did not know until they confronted them, and had to figure out how to deal with that. So I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, the greater Houndo, that's what they call them, the greater Houndo. They can do some special things.
They can play chess, like expertly.
Yeah.
No.
Well, one of the one review I've gotten for Revo that was not outstanding, the person had said that what didn't drive with them was the villain's anime style power-ups, which I take that as a compliment. That's great. But I was like, that's actually a good way to describe it. But yeah, it's definitely an anime style battle system in this. There is magic in Revo's story, but it's kind of ambiguous even to the people who live in this time. And that was kind of by design, because they live in a world that's kind of at the tail end of the superstitious stuff. So magic is just seen as like a childish fairy tale. Maybe there's something to it, but we don't really do that anymore. If I had to give a backdrop of the world, that I would say they were just, I didn't do a deep dive into it, but when I was thinking this is the world that's just on the cusp of starting the very early sprouts of an industrial revolution. and so they're switching over from more of the medieval style world to a slightly more industrialized one. There's on the very, very early seeds of that. They start using what they call steam cars, which are kind of like trains, and very, very early start of electricity, things like that.
Awesome.
Now, because it's anime inspired, I have to ask this because if our mutual friend Chris was here, he'd be saying, are there moments where there's a battle and then it freezes and then there's a memory flashback and then he learns an ability?
So not exactly. It's not like in the middle of the battle, but there are some flash. Well, you know what? I say that actually. There is. Okay, yeah. I just thought about it. It's most of it is before the battle, but then you said that. It's like no,
that's
there is one time right in the middle of the battle. There's a flat. Yeah, I did it without even realizing it.
It's an anime trope that I know well, and I haven't watched that much anime. I just know, and apparently the way I write is very anime as well. So, that's cool. Let's move on to the other book that you have, if my thing will do it.
So yeah, this is more. It's a little bit more of a straightforward telling, whereas Revo can kind of be thought of as maybe like a grounded fairy tale kind of. Franco is a little bit more of just a straightforward telling, as you can. Well, you maybe can't see, but it's not a real thick read. The paperback sits at about 250 pages,
nice.
Which is Revo's is only about 270, so it's not like that's a long one either. But yeah, it covers story of Revo's parents, mainly his father, Franco. Starts out when he's about 10 years old. And he had a, much more tumultuous upbringing than Revo did. He never knew his mother. She died when he was a baby. And he and his father, they just live as traveling merchants. They don't really have a home of their own or any roots or anything like that. They kind of just go to wherever the wind takes them, wherever the opportunity is. And that's the way Franco likes it. He likes being with his dad, just sleeping under the stars and seeking whatever opportunities are there. But things change one day. They take a back route through the forest, and Franco finds himself being stalked by this figure that kind of lives in the shadow of the forest. The locals call it a demon. It refers to itself as more of a forest guardian, but either way, it's a kind of a mischievous figure, and it takes a particular interest in Franco. And we find out why much later in the book. But the first go around, they finally escape the forest, and they later end up they run into a violent cult, and Franco loses everything. What little he had, what little roots he had, he lost it all. Narrowly escapes with his life, and finds safety in the company of this forest demon who had stalked him, and kind of lives under its protection for a little while. And as he gets older, he leaves the forest again, and is bent on revenge. Joins the military, climbs up the ranks, learns some new powers, meets an interesting character that teaches him some things that he didn't know. And he reignites a old flame with his childhood sweetheart, and he thinks he's kind of okay now, gotten past everything and ready to start a new life. But then some things happen, and the pull to revenge comes back to him. And now he's kind of got a dilemma. What does he do? He's got the woman he loves. He's got this military career, but then he's also got this opportunity to seek that revenge that he's been wanting his whole life. And along the way, then he learns about what that secret that the forest guardian was hiding the whole time. And now he's got to figure out what he's going to do with his life. So, got to read it to find out.
Excellent. So do you recommend reading Franco before reading Revo to get the full experience?
I have debated that question. Having written Revo first, I feel like I'm inclined to say to read Revo first, but
okay.
I need to talk to there have been a few people who have read Franco that have not read Revo, and a couple people have read both of them, or excuse me, a couple people have read Franco first and then Revo. I need to get with them and see what they thought about that experience between the two, because as the writer, it's going to be hard for me to answer that question because I wrote them in reverse order.
Mm.
Mhm.
So it'd be interesting to see what a reader would say if they read both of them, how that would go. Because there are I did intentionally put some Easter eggs in Franco
Mhm.
about Revo. So I think somebody reading that's why just for the Easter eggs sake, maybe reading Revo first would be good because you can look at I see that because like I said, there are some connections. They're not real tight connections, but there are connections between the stories, and you might not see those Easter eggs if you read Franco first. But they're like I said, it's more of it's a minor thing,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I ask is because that is probably what I will do. But Jamie did the same thing with his book Ancora, and then there was a character in that lived in a time prior to when that book is set, and then he wrote the prequel based on that character. And I found reading the prequel second actually had more. It was better for me because I was able to go, oh yes, I see where that's come from, and I can see where this thing happens in Ancora, but happens in the prequel. I can see, so I just wanted to double check. I probably will read it in the order that you wrote them because I generally do. If I have multiple books by the same author, I will read it in the order that they were released, just because you can see the writing progression as well, like the abilities that have, you're obviously the first book you write, and then it can only get better. So yeah,
Hope
I
so.
just thought I'd ask that question.
Yeah.
Well, that's how Trinity Cunningham did hers. She wrote a trilogy and she wrote them in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Just the third one and then the second one. And that's why not?
If it works,
Yeah.
it's some people, some authors can only write in chronological order, starting from the start and keep going that way. And then there are some authors like the both of you that can write either. You could write the main story and then the prequel, or the prequel or the main story. Doesn't matter. So yeah, I just was interested to see if there was any benefit in reading Franco before reading Rivo.
Yeah. Well, I would be one thing I would be curious about is if you could tell by reading through these stories of which part of the story, if you could guess what anime I was watching at the time I wrote that part. Because there was some of my here's the thing, when I wrote Revo, one of the last things I did is I added some parts to it. It was actually after it had been edited already, and I was like, and I'd been watching Demon Slayer. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I want to do Revo's version of this. So I'll be interested to see if you can see what those parts are. I don't know. You might be able to look at that and be like, okay, yeah, Suikoden 2, Chrono Trigger. Okay, yeah, there's Naruto, there's Demon Slayer, there's Frieren there. Okay, yeah, I got you. All right.
I think I have a pretty apt knowledge of enough anime to work that out. I think I'll set that challenge for myself to see if I can work it out.
And make sure you add RPGs in there as well. So yeah, anime and
Yes.
RPGs. If you can tell me, it's like, okay, yeah, he must have been reading this or watching this, when he wrote this part.
Now, how much of a connection is there between these two books? Like, is it only subtle, or is it just the fact that it's Ribo's father?
It's subtle. Yeah, that would be the strongest one would be there, but there are some relations between the characters in Franco and in Revo's, some blood relations. There aren't really very many cameos. The very very slight cameos from very minor characters are there, but it's not really what I would call any strong cameos.
Yeah.
The villains between those two stories are very loosely connected. The villains in Revo's story don't even know the villains in Franco's story even existed. There's no indication they knew they even existed. But there is a kind of a loose connection between them, but that's about the full extent of it. But no, I really wanted to make sure I wrote its own independent story with, where it's not dependent. One of them isn't dependent upon the other.
Yeah.
There are some, oh, that's cool connections, but there's not like any necessary connections as far from the reader standpoint.
What's the time gap between them?
As far as world building time gap?
Yeah, as in like what's between the stories, like what's the
So yeah, so Franco starts when he's 10 years old, and
Mhm.
it ends. I don't really give a clear age on how old he was when it ended, but it's about 19 or 20.
Mhm.
And Revo's story starts out when he's 17.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's about 17 to 20 year gap between the two stories.
cool.
Yeah, and there's some flashbacks in Revo that cover a little bit of that gap, but that's how, from the story building standpoint, that's what the gap is.
So is there more coming in the series?
I have not made up my mind on that. I actually did start one. I actually got pretty far into one on another um, kind of chronological prequel to Revo with another character from Revo's story. Um, I'm still sitting on that. I actually got pretty far in it, but I wanted to put it down for a little bit. I had some other things I wanted to try. I'd started that around the same time I'd started Franco, so they're kind of competing with each other, and Franco ended up winning out. And then I just kind of put it down for a bit. I'm actually working on I haven't been talking about it a ton, but I'm working on it. Just started working on another work in progress that's completely unrelated to Revo's world, even completely different genre. Not sure what I'm going to do with it, but we'll see. We'll see how that develops. I've got so many work in progresses that I've started over the last few years. I think I've got 6 or 7 sitting on my computer that I'm afraid to look at.
That's like our sponsor Rebecca Kearsells. She's got like 39 projects in work.
Oh my gosh.
39 books, all outlined already.
And then she
like,
probably still
geez.
start a different one, instead of going
Yeah,
back. But
yeah. Well, it's like me. I get an idea in my head. I have trouble reading. I can only read in short blocks because I get ideas while I'm reading, and then my mind is just
yeah.
wandering off, and I'm going like, "Sorry, guys, not reading the book." Type. It kills me. It kills me.
Yeah. Well, and the good thing is with Revo store, because like I said, before I had written Revo, I had a few projects I had started and ended up shelving. But maybe they still live on in Revo, because I actually did steal a few things from those earlier stories. Some character names, actually the name of the kingdom. They live in a kingdom called Wyverley. That was the name of one of my earlier books I had started. Was the name of the kingdom they lived in. So it's still those work in progresses still live on in Revo. So maybe that's something authors can start doing more. You have all these work in progresses sitting on your computer. You know what? Just break them up and use them for spare parts.
Yeah, but you got to be willing. It's like because you could go back and I feel really motivated to write that story, but I can't because I put part of it in
Yeah.
something else. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
Uh, cool. Well, before we play our game, our wonderful game, we like to ask our guests, what's something you've learned along the way? Have you got any advice for people that are trying to get into writing? Maybe it's something you'd want to tell your younger self. However you want to take that question.
Yeah, I would just say, talk to some other writers, get involved in some kind of writing community, get some, seek advice. My experience, most writers, they like it when people ask them questions about things. What do you think about this and that, and all, because it's easy to overthink it. It's easy to spend too much money or spend too much time researching things that don't really matter. I wish I had shopped around a little bit more for my first editor on Revo ended up ghosting me, and it ended up was able to get my money back, but it would just cause several months of delay.
Yeah.
And it's expensive too. I wish I had shopped around more, but I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I initially with Revo, I distributed wide. Now I'm in Australia. I'm not sure, because I know Kobo has a pretty good footprint over there, I believe. But in the States, it's pretty much Amazon or nothing.
Yeah.
And I wish I had just started off with Amazon and gotten those Kent reads and not had to deal with the going wide, just the hassle of doing it and uploading it to another platform and marketing for other platforms and all that. Well, with Amazon, yeah, you got all your eggs in one basket, but at least it's just one basket you have to keep your eye on. There's an advantage to that. And their interface, even though I definitely have my problems with Amazon, the corporation, and some things they do and how they treat authors, I did feel like the whole process of getting it published on Amazon was pretty straightforward and user friendly.
Yep.
So that I guess I would just say for the business side of it, it's just talk to some other authors about to do's and to don'ts, and make sure you're not spending time and money on things that you don't need to. And from a writer's, like if I were just to talk to an aspiring writer or something, I would just tell them, hey, don't stress. You don't have your first book doesn't need to be a 500-page epic. You don't need to write a trilogy. You could just write a couple short stories if you want to. Don't put pressure on yourself. You don't have to publish them. You write them and you're happy with it, say, hey, this is pretty special. Then you can proceed forward. Although I would recommend that unless you have the skill set, I would recommend making sure you get professional editing and professional book cover. Like I said, unless you have that skill set to do that. And if you shop around enough and you talk to enough people, you can get some pretty good prices on those things that won't break the bank.
Yeah. That's it. I think word of mouth is the best way to go instead of just Googling or seeking out, Googling editor or Googling whatever. Like, word of mouth is so powerful because, people can get fooled easily. I mean, all our inboxes are filled with, hello, author, I read your book,
Yeah. Well, even then, when I first started looking into editing, I had no clue what to do. And I just started kind of re-imaging my X profile from a personal one to a writing focused one. And so, the first couple people that reached out to me were imposters. So I was like, okay, I can't go to X to find this information because there's con artists on here.
Yeah.
And so I would Google it and Google said that editing a book the size of Revo would cost like $2,000. So I was like, okay, but this might not happen. I might not happen. I can't afford to spend $2,000 in this. And they said a book cover would cost about $1,000. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to spend $3,000 to get my book published. But you learn things, you talk to people, and you see there's freelancers you can use who are trustworthy and reputable that can do a pretty good job for you.
Yeah, and it's always good to find up and coming. I know there's a famous one that does all the fantasy ones that all across X. Like I think his name's James Brown or something like that. He's like everyone in the fantasy indie author community knows him, and he's got a list that's like a client list that's huge. But if you got on early, he fixes his rate. So there's all these people that get book covers for cheap because that was the rate he gave you, and then the more in demand he gets, he ups the rate. So sometimes it's good to find an artist that's newish, so you can lock in that cheaper deal before they get big and famous.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready to play a game?
Sure.
Oh, I love this game. All right, I'll bring up the graph. The game is called Story Pitch. There is a setting, a genre, a main character, and a crazy addition. You're going to give us a number between 1 and 12 for each of these categories. We have access to graphs that you can't see, and we're going to tell you what they are. Then you've got to pitch us a story. It can be as in-depth or as vague as you want. There's going to be 2 rounds, but we also have 4 graphs, so you can choose one of 4 graphs at random, and then give us the numbers for those categories.
Okay. So I just need to pick one of these right now?
Yeah. Well, first of all, pick a graph, 1 to 4.
Do 3.
3. Ooh, 3 is a
popular one.
And then just give us four numbers.
Between 1 and 12?
Between 1 and 12.
Yeah. We'll do 3, 6, and 9.
3 and 1 more.
6.
3, 6, 9, 6. All right.
3, 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Graph number 3. Okay, so your setting is an opera house.
Oh, okay.
Your genre is a creature feature, so one of those, the old school Universal monster movies, or a B-grade horror movie with a crazy creature in it.
Okay. I like where this is going.
Well, this is going to get really interesting because your main character is a trench coat salesman. You know, those ones that kind of go, "Hey, do you want to buy?"
Like a door-to-door salesman. Okay.
Yeah, but
no, worse than that one. Like, you mean like a back alley salesman?
Yeah, like the back alley with the coat. Hey, do you want to buy?
Interesting. And that's the
And
antagonist, or that's the protagonist, huh?
Yep.
yeah, and your crazy addition, which is someone or something that must appear in the story, even if it's just for 5 seconds, is the band AC/DC.
Okay.
Or just the
Has to be
song.
the real band. It can't be.
Or
Okay,
just
it
the
could just be a
song.
song.
You know, it could be the
Okay, so yeah,
soundtrack.
somebody because you said it's an opera house, so they get on.
Yeah.
They perform a rendition of an
Oh,
AC/DC
geez,
song.
that's too easy for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so your main character is a trench coat salesman, like back alley. It's got to be a creature feature. It's set in an opera house, and it's got to have AC/DC. That's what you got to work with.
Okay. I think we can make something with that. So I need to map out a story right now.
Just pitch it. It can be bullet point. It can be
Okay.
vague. Like it's however you want to play it.
So I have to mention AC/DC at some point. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's a cover band or a cover. I don't know, in opera. I don't know if they call them bands when they go to the opera. Maybe
Cool.
opera singer. An opera singer is going to go there, and she or he does cover songs for AC/DC.
AC/DC opera. I love it.
Yeah, and our protagonist, a back alley trench coat salesman, he's able to swindle somebody out of their tickets, and he's like, "I love AC/DC. I love opera, so let's go see." And yeah, he makes it in the show, and then it turns out the opera singer is some sort of a werewolf or something, right? Does that count? So yeah, there's a full moon out. Opera singer turns into a werewolf and just starts attacking everybody. So they're running all around the opera house, and the trench coat salesman, being the street smart type, he's able to kind of navigate this and can kind of lead the way and help people get the safety they need to get the safety, and is able to somehow pull out a silver bullet from his trench coat and confront the werewolf opera singer AC/DC cover artist.
Oh, give me this movie. Give me this movie. Oh, that's brilliant. I really like that.
Don't steal my idea. Don't steal my idea.
It's yours. It is yours. I just want to see an opera singer sing AC/DC. Thunderstruck. Yeah. All right, one more round, and then we'll let you go. You can pick graph 1, 2, or 4, and then give us some numbers.
All right, graph 4.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do evens starting with 4. So we'll do 4, 8, 12. Well, I guess we'll just do all the 2, 4. No, it's 4, 6, 8, and 10.
4, 6, 8, and 10. Okay, so your setting is a retirement village or home or whatever, old people's home.
Your genre is coming of age story.
In a retirement home.
Well, I think I know how you're going to play that. Okay, well, you've got a sock puppet marriage counselor as a main character.
Okay.
And your crazy addition, which is someone or something that must appear in the story, even just for 5 seconds, and that is an overexcited personal trainer.
An overexcited personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So just to give you some thinking time, I'll run it through again. So it's a retirement village. It's a coming of age story. Your main character is a sock puppet marriage counselor, and you've got to have an overexcited personal trainer.
Overexcited personal trainer. Okay, so we have this retirement community. The personal trainer goes there to do Zumba classes with the old folks, and they get really into it. And we've got the sock puppet marriage counselor that completely belongs there. Perhaps some of the folks in there who are going through some dementia or something, they engage in sock puppet marriages, and things aren't going so well. So the sock puppets are having this coming of age moment where the sock puppets go to the sock puppet counselor and they learn about the true meaning of love.
Aw,
Yeah.
aw. I think you definitely have covered all bases.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love this game. Well, there you go, Matt. You did a fantastic job.
Right.
So thank you for joining us. It's been a blast.
Yeah. It has been. Thank you so much for having me.
We'll do what we always do. We'll give you the floor, plug what you want to plug, tell our listeners and viewers where they can stay up to date with what you're doing. Anything you want to say, the floor is yours.
Great. Yeah. So, a few announcements. The Revo audiobook, as I said earlier, just dropped yesterday. It's on Audible and Amazon. It will be on Apple at some point, but last I checked, it wasn't on there yet. But it's on Audible and it's on Amazon. Just dropped it. I'm happy to give out free promo codes to anybody who's willing to give an honest review for it. So really excited about that. I'm hoping to get it on Kindle Unlimited here, and then as soon as possible. Just working on delisting it right now. And then yes, Franco is on Kindle Unlimited, free on Kindle Unlimited, just released this past week. Really excited about both these stories. I had a blast writing both of them. They're fun reads, they're quick reads. Like I said, they're 250, 270 pages. So an avid reader can read them in a weekend. They're very fast paced and fun to read. I think you'll find that you enjoy the characters. They're character-driven fantasies, a lot of action and adventure, but I also made sure I put a lot of heart in it as well. They cover some heavier themes like death and loss and grief and things like that. But they're hopeful stories. They're there's not they're more they're YA fantasies, but they're they appeal to anybody who's young at heart, who appreciates stories with heart. Not no spice or anything like that. So there's good appeal there. I've had people of all walks of life that have read it and really enjoyed them. So yeah, just check that. I encourage you to check these out if you can. You can just go to my website, www.matthewlinton.com. Has links to that, as well as links to all my socials. I'm most active on X. Username is @_Knight, spelled with a K, like King Arthur's Knights. @_Knight_writer, like writing a book. That's an old name that's been grandfathered in. I never got around to changing it. So it's kind of a play on Knight Rider, the old TV show. That's where I'm most active right now. It's also my TikTok handle, that's probably where I'm the second most active after X. But yeah, you can either find my books on Amazon or just go to my website. And anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to talk to them, as long as you're not a bookmark. But any aspiring authors or readers, I'm always happy to talk to people, or someone just wants to chat. You can reach out to me there. I try to be an easy person to get along with, try to be pleasant. So I don't bite. Well, you can't bite, you're too far away. Yeah, that's not much.
Excellent. All right, guys, I will leave all of Matt's links down in the show note. Please check that out. Check out both books, read them, and spot the anime.
That's right. The anime and the RPGs, yeah.
You should do a bingo card for it or something. Yeah. But yes, guys, if you want to reach out, thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com, or reach out on the socials, please join our Discord. It's where a lot of the magic's happening, especially all our story pitch episodes are being organized there, as well as our multi-author stuff. Check out our sponsor, Rebecca Kearsells, our honorary sponsors, Janelle Schiecke and Alexander Robb. All their links are down below. Buy Ryan's shirt, buy one of Ryan's shirt, or buy both of Ryan's shirt, because it's you'll be wearing the truth. You'll be wearing the truth on your chest, because Ryan will buy your book if you come on this show. If you see his eyes drop, it means he's bought your book. So yeah, guys, until next time, keep supporting those indie authors, and we'll catch you on the next episode.